Hello and welcome. I'm Mundane Failure. This is Jund. Let's play. Alright, here we have a Jund list. We recently played Jund on the channel. Check the video card to see that original video. We adjusted it a little bit. So what we did, I removed the Valkies from this list. And one Klothys, which I moved to the sideboard for Sedgemoor Witch. I think Sedgemoor Witch could be a very powerful card in this list. So it does Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery, make a pest creature token. And then it has Menace and Ward, pay 3 life. So it's really difficult to deal with. If the opponent wants to deal with it, they're going to have to pay 3 life. It's a good attacker, and we have plenty of instants and sorceries in order to trigger Sedgemoor Witch. So the core of the deck is the same. This is the change I made. So we'll go over the rest of the deck here. 1-drops, we've got Abundant Harvest. This card is just insane. I am falling in love with Abundant Harvest. Early game, if you need an extra land, it can find you an extra land. If you top deck a late game, you're guaranteed to redraw into a non-land. So this card is just gas. We got 6 removal spells, 3 Thoughtseize, 3 Inquisition. Again, I'm not super sure we want 6 of this effect, but it's what the original deck list had, so we're just going to run it for now. We'll do some more testing and see how we feel about it. 2 Bloodchief's Thirst, just for removal. 3 Chevill, 2 Scavenging Ooze. 1 Klothys, 3 Kolaghan's Command, another card that has performed extremely well in this deck. And then 4 Bonecrusher, which can kind of act like a 2-drop to help the curve considerations. 2 Binding the Old Gods, 3 Chandras, and 2 Elder Gargaroths. Sideboard, I changed from the original video. I took out 1 Scavenging Ooze for that Klothys, just because I think that we really want Klothys against a lot of matchups, and so having it available is exactly the kind of thing that we need. So with that, leave a like if you enjoyed the deck list. If you want to see more of this type of content, likes go a long way, and I'd really appreciate it. With that, we're going to jump into the games. And here we have a hand that we get to go first with. Yeah, seems like a keep to me. Got a Thoughtseize here. We're going to cast that on turn 1. And see what the opponent's got in their hand. Memory Lapse, Prismari Command, Expressive Iteration. We will take the Expressive Iteration and allow them to Memory Lapse us into the ground if that's what they want to do. We're going to play an untapped Stomping Ground and go for a Sedgemoor Witch. I expect this will get Memory Lapsed. And that's exactly what happens. We are fine with that. Opponent shocks themselves. We're going to go for the Sedgemoor Witch again. I imagine they want to Prismari Command, which is why they are waiting. Also, let me know what you guys think, face cam or no face cam. I'm not necessarily partial to either, so let me know in the comments, if you prefer face cam or no face cam. I can do either one. The opponent decides to pay essentially 5 life there because they shocked in the Steam Vents to get rid of Sedgemoor Witch, so we're pretty okay with that. We top deck another one, so that's fine. This will get memory lapsed. And that's exactly what happens, which is fine. Dwarven Mine. So we are playing against the Indomitable Creativity Jeskai Turns list that we played a couple of days ago. We will play out the Sedgemoor Witch. And I am fine Bloodchief's Thirsting this just to get a Magecraft trigger here. Also stops them from being able to use the Indomitable Creativity to get their Velomachus out. And they have another Dwarven Mine. And Time Warp. And opponent had nothing. We draw Kolaghan's Command. So let's go ahead and make them discard a card and deal 2 damage to this dwarf. Get another Magecraft trigger. I love the idea of Magecraft. Its prowess a little toned down. Saving the Bloodchief search so we can deal with the Velomachus if they ever get to it. We do have enough mana, if that's what they draw. Fire Prophecy or Sedgemoor Witch. They're going to take another 3 life to do that. And they pass it back to us. Let's start with Abundant Harvest for a non-land. We're at our curve top, so Binding the Old Gods. Let's get in for 2. And we're planning on stomping them on their end step. Down to 4, and then we will play either Bonecrusher or Binding the Old Gods if they have something. Our opponent has nothing, so we will stomp their face. So Inquisition them for good measure. I'd be much happier if this were a Thoughtseize right now. Magma Opus Mizzet's Mastery. So we will play out the Bonecrusher Giant. They cycle their Magma Opus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They might have wanted to wait and see if they drew a land. That might be just a little too risky for them. And they Mizzet's Mastery on Overload. Ooh. Really getting quite a bit of spells, so we'll just let them do their thing. Magma Opus gets rid of the 2 pests, deals 2 damage to our face, so our life total won't change. Prismari Command. 2 damage to us. And they draw a treasure. They get to take an extra turn. They get to take an extra turn. They get an expressive iteration. The opponent's kind of going off here. But we still have a Bonecrusher Giant in play. We have a Binding the Old Gods to deal with whatever they can get. And a Bloodchief Source that they don't know about to deal with another creature. Shark typing in the main deck. Interesting. So they need to deal with our Bonecrusher Giant without targeting it. Want to get them for 4, we're going to let them attack. The Prismari Command us down to 8. They cast another Time Warp, so now we have to block. And they have Indomitable Creativity, so we are just dead. Okay, for sideboarding against this deck, I want the Go Blanks. I want Angrith. I want Elder Gargaroth. I want Klothys. Not in love with the Chevills. Not in love with the Inquisitions, but we can keep Thoughtseize. I'm not in love with Chandra. Okay, we get to play first. And this is a keep. Opponent mulligans to 6. We'll shock this in and Thoughtseize the opponent. We'll take Indomitable Creativity from them and send it to them. Blooming Marsh here. We plan on stomping them on their end step. Didn't do the stomp just because I want to be able to get that Magecraft trigger off of the Sedgemoor Witch. Opponent draws Brainstorm. Now we're going to lose information. They might just cast the Prismari Command on the Sedgemoor Witch here, paying 5 life to deal with 1 creature. And that's exactly what they do, so we're fine with that. I'm going to use the Abundant Harvest to find a land here. And we'll play out the Scavenging Ooze. No, we won't, because we don't have enough green mana. But I misplays, and they use Indomitable Creativity on the token instead of the treasure, so we get to fizzle their effect. Just play out the Bonecrusher here. And they have Indomitable Creativity, and they do it correctly this time. It's the only option they had. Anger of the Gods to get rid of our Bonecrusher Giant. And we just keep not drawing enough lands. Opponent gets in with their Velomachus. They get a Time Warp. We will wait to eat anything until the opponent decides to cast a Mizzet's Mastery. Opponent casts a Mizzet's Mastery on a Prismari command, so we will eat that so they don't get the value. We go to 1 here and we're dead. Okay, we get to play first. And this is a clear mulligan. This hand is not much better. I'm gonna ship it. This is fine. Go ahead and get rid of a Bloodchief's Thirst and a Kolaghan's Command. The opponent mulligans to 5 as well. They play Thoughtseize to take away one of our better cards. Blood Crypt tapped. Opponent sends it back. We will Blooming Marsh into a Scavenging Ooze. And opponent has Stomp for our Ooze. Opponent has a Sedgemoor Witch. And we're drawing nothing but lands. Opponent gets in with their Sedgemoor Witch, plays a second Sedgemoor Witch, draw Kolaghan's Command, so we can deal 2 damage and return the Scavenging Ooze. We will pay 3 life. We'll just wait until next turn so we don't shock ourselves here. Although we need to be able to deal with this Sedgemoor Witch. We might need to shock ourselves anyway. Take a non-land. Elder Gargaroth. We'll eat their Sedgemoor Witch and trade with the Bonecrusher here. Valky, God of Lies. Oh man. The opponent just has every answer for us. And I have Fatal Push. I think we're just dead, but we'll look at a draw. It's possible we top deck another Elder Gargaroth. And we do not. Okay, for sideboarding against this opponent, I want Elder Gargaroth, Flunk, Klothys, to get the Thoughtseizes, leave in the Inquisitions, not in love with Chandra, really not in love with Chandra. Maybe take out all of our Chandras for Scavenging Oozes. Oh, that's too many cards. Oh, I forgot to click the Scavenging Ooze. And we'll play first. Getting mana screwed again. Goodness. Goodness. What kind of nonsense is this? I mean, we'll keep it. Player Overgrown Tomb tapped. Opponent leads on Thoughtseize again. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I dislike few cards more than I dislike Thoughtseize. Just the ability for your opponent to take one of your cards on turn 1 and you have nothing, no response that you're able to do to it. I mean, at least in Legacy, there's Mental Misstep. Legacy and Vintage, you have Mental Misstep to deal with it, but absolutely nothing in other formats, and it's just one of the most frustrating things in the world to me. So that's my little rant. I'll get off my soapbox. Here we want to get rid of this young Pyromancer. Can't allow the opponent to draw cards. They discard a Plains. And they have a Bonecrusher Giant. And play out our Klothys and pass it back. And they have another Bonecrusher Giant. So they have two Bonecrusher Giants. We can Bloodchief Thirst one of them, or we can play out 2 creatures. I think we'll just play out 2 creatures here. Lightning Helix on the Chevill. Thoughtseize to take away our Bloodchief's Thirst. Well, we're not going to chump block. We're at least going to want to get a trade out of this. Eat the Young Pyromancer. Eat the Thoughtseize. That's not what I wanted to do. Eat the Chevill. Get in for 4 here. We're not blocking. We can wait until there's one more creature in a graveyard. Hopefully we can wait until there's one more creature in a graveyard. Like top deck Chandra. Imagine they're just gonna -4 here. -3 rather.
Time to die.
Sedgemoor Witch. That's not what I wanted to do at all. Should have taken a card out of our graveyard. So we're just dead. And we have a decent hand here. We'll keep. We'll play out tapped Stomping Ground here. Opponent has a Chevill of their own. We're just gonna go ahead and get rid of that. And we'll look for a land here just because we're a little permanent heavy. Yeah, we would have gone a lot of turns there without a land. Opponent has a Thoughtseize. They take Klothys. I think that was probably a good call. And nothing for the opponent. We'll play out another Sedgemoor Witch. They're a little mana screwed right now. Get him for 3. Opponent finds their land and has an Elvish Llanowar Visionary. We have another Chevill here. We can safely get in for 6 because of Menace. Scavenging Ooze for the opponent will let them gain life. Let's go ahead and Thoughtseize the opponent. Make a couple of pests. And we will take Nissa Who Shakes the World. And we'll just get in with our Sedgemoor Witches here. If we attack with everything, we have lethal. We're attacking for lethal, so they're forced to block, otherwise... And we'll kill the Scavenging Ooze to gain 3 life and draw a card here. And there I am, forgetting that Llanowar Visionary can tap for mana. And the Scavenging Ooze lives. Opponent has a Chevill of their own. And I'll draw a card here with the Castle Locthwain. Bloodchief's Thirst is a good draw for us. Get rid of the Scavenging Ooze. And that should just be lethal. Opponent can get rid of the Bane of Monsters in response so that we don't get to gain 3 life, draw a card. Then we're just going to attack with everything. Opponent chooses to block the 2 pests. And they Fatal Push the Sedgemoor Witch, which is probably the correct play for them. They Fatal Push our Chevill, which allows them to gain 3 life, draw a card. Opponent boldly choosing to Thoughtseize us here. Let's see if they attack. I think that's a bad attack. We could draw a removal here. And if we draw a removal, they're dead. We'll take their Scavenging Ooze. No attacks for us. It just sends it back to us. We'll draw a card with our castle. Stomp is lethal. Against green-black, I like Elder Gargaroth. I like Scavenging Ooze. And we can go down Chandra's. This hand is fine. It's not great, but it's fine. It's a little weak to a Thoughtseize, but we're gonna keep it. Scavenging Ooze for the opponent, so we're happy just to Bloodchief Search that. And we will Inquisition them. Maybe, if the client will allow me to cast it. We'll take a Scavenging Ooze. Yeah, we'll Chevill. It gives them a target for their Fatal Push, but we're not doing anything otherwise. And they choose just to Binding the Old Gods our Chevill, which is fine by me. It means they're not doing that with our Elder Gargaroth. And we get to Elder Gargaroth here. See what the opponent's got. They Field of Ruin our castle, which is fine. They Wasteland us. Maelstrom Pulse for the Elder Gargaroth. And we immediately draw another. Yes, please. The opponent sends it back. Let's draw a non-land here. Sedgemoor Witch is great. Two somewhat difficult threats to deal with. Let's draw a card. Opponent cycles a Triumph there. Let's just get in with both. See how they block. Let's draw a card. Klothys is a good draw. They choose to trade. Seven cards in graveyard. So they can escape their Pelukrinos. That's exactly what they choose to do. And we draw nothing. We're gonna have to draw something pretty good here. Opponent attacks. And they either have removal for or they don't have removal for our 4/4 green troll. Tells me they probably have a Fatal Push, which means we're more than likely dead. They fight. We will eat our own Bloodchief's Thirst. Get a non-land here. Like to see a Scavenging Ooze there. We will send it back to the opponent. And they're going to fight us. Let's go ahead and eat. So we have nothing else to do with our graveyard. So we get to shrink this Blueprint all the way down to a 3/3. And the opponent scoops him up. Perfect. Picking up our first win. We got a fine hand here on the draw. Hopefully we'll draw into a red source. That's certainly going to make things easier. And another Overgrown Tomb. Opponent Inquisitions takes one of our 3 drops here. Just going to play out this Overgrown Tomb tapped because the opponent knows about it. And the next turn, we get to play Sedgemoor Witch. We draw another Sedgemoor Witch. I'm happy to run that out and get in for 3. Opponent playing either some 5-color nonsense. I suppose they could be on 5-color Niv Mizzet. Double Vanishing Verse. And we're just going to play out the Elder Gargaroth here. Hopefully the opponent doesn't have another answer for it. Assassin's Trophy. We have no lands to search out. We draw a Chevill. We'll just run out both of our creatures here. Goodness gracious. Definitely use another red source. That is not a red source, but we'll take it. I'm just going to play this out as a 4/3 to get in more damage. And there's Niv Mizzet for the opponent. We reveal 3 cards. And that's a red source. Doesn't matter this turn. Ooh. Or maybe it does. Opponent going to Vanishing Verse. Our Bonecrusher Giant. Expressive Iteration. And then the opponent has a Kroxa. Oh, that makes things a little difficult. Well, we're going to discard the Bonecrusher Giant. And we're going to plus Chandra.
Hey, over here. Yup, you're going down.
And we get to put the opponent to 1. And hopefully this is good enough. We know they can answer the Chandra or the Chevill, but can they answer both? And they have another Niv Mizzet Reborn. And they reveal a Kolaghan's Command, a Hydroid Krasis, and another... Alright, they can't deal. Perfect. Sideboarding against 5-color Niv Mizzet. I like bringing in Angrath. I like the Maelstrom Pulse and the Klothys. Not in love with the Chevills. Not in love with Inquisition. And we have a pretty good hand here on the draw. We'll start with Overgrown Tomb and Inquisition. And we'll take Expressive Iteration from the opponent. This is their best way to see more cards. They're just going to Kroxa us. Happy to discard Abundant Harvest here, I think. Our other cards are just a little more impact fill. Let's go ahead and Thoughtseize the opponent now. Fracture. Niv Mizzet, Hydroid Crate. Let's take the Crisis, because if they draw lands, that can let them draw into more spells. And they buy Gigantha. We will Sedgemoor Witch. Deafening Clarion takes care of the Sedgemoor Witch. But it will not take care of Elder Gargaroth. Inquisition from the opponent finds nothing. Vanishing Verse to take care of Elder Gargaroth. Chandra will take up to deal some damage and then get fractured. Opponent is land light. We get to play out a Sedgemoor Witch and a Castle Locthwain. Opponent gets to buy back their Kroxa. So we're going to take 3 from that. And we forgot to draw a card. And it doesn't matter because we're dead anyways. We're just going to run it back here on the play. And we will play first, of course. And keep this. Just play out a Dragonskull Summit 10. Thoughtseize the opponent, see what they got going on. Take... Expressive Iteration is going to draw them into more cards. Judging on their hand, we're kind of screwed. Opponent takes Abundant Harvest from us. We draw a Blooming Marsh, lets us get down our Scavenging Ooze. Perhaps it was right for us to take their Hydroid Crisis. I'm not sure, I think that might have been a misplay. Let me know what you would have done down in the comments below, please. We draw a Kolaghan's Command. Let's just get in for damage here. And we will see what we want to do when the opponent does or doesn't play something. Opponent does nothing. I'm just going to eat part of their graveyard. We draw Stomp. So we'll just plan on doing that on the opponent's end step. Gigantha for the opponent. Abundant Harvest finds us a tapped Rootbound Crag, so that's a bit unfortunate. We were hoping to hit an untapped land so we could Bonecrusher Giant there. Opponent adds 5 mana for its Fairy Hero of Dominaria.
I know what must be told then, though.
It's pretty brutal for us. Binding the Old Gods takes care of Scavenging Ooze. Not sure how we're going to win this one. We draw Sedgemoor Witch. Let's get down one of our Chandras.
I'm the best fire starter there is.
We'll just start dealing damage. We got the opponent down to 12. We might be able to just pound in the last few points of damage. Expressive Iteration for the opponent. They find Kolaghan's Command and Hydroid Crisis. Sorry, Hydroid Crisis we already knew about. We will discard a Chandra, I suppose. We really need to get this Elder Gargaroth down, which probably won't even be good enough because the opponent will just Teferi Tuck it.
Guess you don't need me anymore.
Abundant Harvest will look for another land. And it's tapped. Play out the Bonecrusher Giant. Opponent plays a massive Hydroid Crisis. I think that'll do it for us. We can't beat a grip full of cards, massive Hydroid Crisis to Fairy. So we're just going to go ahead and scoop them up here. We get to play first here on this one, and we're going to keep. And we'll start with a tapped Stomping Ground and pass it to the opponent. Opponent shocks themselves. I assume that means they're going to play an Opt or a Brainstorm. And Brainstorm's exactly what they play. Opponent plays a main phase Opt and then a Faithful Suiting. They pitch a Arclight Phoenix, which we will eat. right away. Pillar of Flame the Scavenging Ooze into a shock. We draw another Abundant Harvest. So let's find a land with this one. Stomping Ground. Play it untapped. That way we can Kolaghan's Command if we need to. Expressive Iteration. Brainstorm for the opponent. Opponent sends it back to us. We'll make them discard and shock them. And we draw a Rootbound Crag. I think that means that we're just gonna play the Elder Gargaroth out. And we'll get in for one here. Brainstorm for the opponent. Opponent has one Pillar of Flame. And a Lightning Axe to deal with the Elder Gargaroth. Return of Phoenix. Get in for one. For three, rather. And we will play Chandra. For -3 to get rid of the Phoenix.
Feel the burn.
Draw a card. We'll turn that into a non-land. Binding the Old Gods of Gadraw. Faithful Suiting for the opponent. Into a Stormwing entity. And let's start by plussing the Chandra.
Oh, today's my
Yeah, we'll
lucky
cast a
day.
Sedgemoor Witch. Play out a Dragonskull Summit, play out a Binding the Old Gods, which they knew we had, so I don't know why they would play Stormwing Entity into it. Get in for one. Opponent decides to Finale of Promise, X1. Pay 3 life to deal with the Sedgemoor Witch. And deals with Chandra. That'll get them their Phoenix back. Allows them to get in for 3. Let's go ahead and look for a non-land here with our Abundant Harvest. Scavenging Ooze. And we will get in for 1 and send it back. Opponent gets in for 3. And at the end of the turn, we're just going to eat some stuff out of their graveyard. And as we're eating the graveyard, the opponent scoops it out. So against them, I think we want Maelstrom Pulse, we want Elder Gargaroth, we want Scavenging Ooze, we want Go Blank. We want Klothys. Chandra can go. Actually, we'll leave the Chandra in. And we'll just take out the discard spells. We really don't want to be casting discard spells against a deck that actively wants their cards in their graveyard. The hell is going on with that? Yeah, we got a keep here. Got a little bit of everything in this hand. Opponent plays Island. We will play Blooming Marsh and say go. Opponent opts at the end of our turn. I don't think opponent really has a lot of experience playing the Phoenix deck. Really, for the most part, you want to do nothing until turn 3, when you can get a couple of Phoenixes back. And, I mean, unless they're looking for Faithful Suiting or something, but my suspicion is that they do not have a lot of, if any, experience playing the deck that they are playing. Narset Harder Veils. I think we're just going to play a Sedgemoor Witch here. And attack the Narset down to 1. I suppose Narset shuts down our Abundant Harvest and our Chevills, but I don't think that that's enough of a reason to bring in Narset against us. An opponent Lightning Axes the Sedgemoor Witch, discarding a land. We will get rid of Narset. And let's look for a non-land here. Find a K command, so we'll just send it back. Opponent has a Dorat, so we will just let them deal 1. We'll just take our turn. Get him for 2. And Bloodchief's Thirst it. That way they can't get it out of reach with instants and sorceries. They have a negate, so we will stomp. And the opponent does nothing. So we will play out our Bonecrusher. Get him for 2 Masego. Opponent just did nothing. We'll get in for 6 here. Opponent does nothing. We're gonna go ahead and K-command them. They have a Lightning Axe for our Bonecrusher Giant. Discarding a land. And they're going to discard their last card to the Kolaghan's command. And they're dead to the Scavenging Ooze. Shock. We get to eat a Dorat. Which keeps it alive. And that's lethal. That'll be it for today's video. In terms of gameplay, looking at the list, thinking about the games. The list felt strong at times, but at other times it felt like it just kind of lost steam, and I don't know how to fix that. If you have any ideas for cards we can add, cards we can cut, additions and subtractions, and whatever changes we need to make to the deck, please feel free to leave them in the comments. We can collaborate and try and come up with a proper Jund list. Let's make Jund great again. I really want this deck type to work. I'm thinking about another variant of the deck list where we play like Young Pyromancer and Plumb the Forbidden and just a bunch of really cheap cards, and we keep it really low on the curve, but not the Dreadhorde Artisan list. So thank you for watching, really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.